Welcome back. Today we have an exciting and enjoyable podcast about the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Seneca's Stoic philosophy stands as one of the greatest intellectual contributions of Roman history. He believed that a happy life is one that achieves inner peace, and that this peace can only be attained through self-control and mastery over emotions. He saw negative emotions like anger and greed as chains that enslave us to our desires, and emphasized the need to rise above these emotions and to avoid material pleasures that lead to inner turmoil. For Seneca, true strength lies in facing hardships with courage and accepting what cannot be changed. He encouraged daily reflection on mortality as a way to motivate oneself to focus on the present, considering that understanding the brevity of life gives us a drive to live more truthfully and meaningfully. He also highlighted the importance of virtue, believing that the ideal person follows reason and ethics, seeking goodness without expecting anything in return. Seneca's philosophy is best embodied in his famous saying, "Live in accordance with nature and accept everything that happens as though it were meant for you." This perspective grants us the ability to overcome pain and anxiety by understanding that wisdom lies in adapting to life rather than attempting to control it. In essence, Seneca's philosophy is a call for inner peace, liberation from emotional control, and the pursuit of a life marked by balance and moral purity. Let's listen to the podcast full of excitement.
All right, let's dive in. Seneca the Stoic, playwright, advisor, right? Confidante to Nero.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a high-pressure job, and all while trying to live this life of virtue, inner peace.
It's amazing, really.
So our deep dive today, we've got notes, we've got excerpts. We're going to try to get into Seneca's head a little bit, see what made him tick. Where do we even begin with a guy like this?
Well, I think we got to start with his roots, right? Corduba, modern-day Spain.
Okay, so he's not Roman.
Well, he becomes Roman, but yeah, born in Corduba around 4 BCE.
BCE. So we're talking ancient history here.
We are. And his family,
Right.
wealthy, educated.
So privilege right from the start.
Yeah, surrounded by intellectual pursuits. I mean, this is where he gets that foundation.
Okay, so he's got the world of ideas at his fingertips. But why Stoicism? What drew him to that particular philosophy?
Well, you got to picture Rome at that time. I mean, chaos, right?
Political intrigue, backstabbing, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. Stoicism, with its emphasis on reason, virtue, mastering your emotions.
It's a survival guide, almost.
I think so, yeah. Not just an intellectual pursuit, but a way to navigate that world.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of the guy. So how does he end up in Nero's inner circle? I mean, this is Nero we're talking about.
I know, right?
The emperor with a, shall we say, less than stellar reputation.
Well, talent and intellect will get you noticed, right?
Yeah, especially in ancient Rome, I imagine.
And that's how he ends up advising Nero, the young Nero at least. And, early on, Nero's reign under Seneca's guidance actually showed some promise.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying there was a just and stable period in Nero's rule?
There was, it's true. Which is why Seneca's story is so fascinating. He wasn't just writing about these Stoic principles in isolation. He was trying to put them into practice at the highest level of power.
Wow. Talk about a high-stakes experiment. But we know how that turned out, right? Power corrupts and all that. But before we get to the drama, the downfall, let's dive into the core of Seneca's Stoicism. What were the key pillars that guided his life, his thinking?
All right, so you want the nuts and bolts of Stoicism.
Yeah, give me the Seneca starter pack. What are the things that made him tick?
Okay, well, first and foremost, emotional control. Anger, he said, is a brief madness.
Whoa, okay. Strong words. But are we supposed to just bottle up our emotions completely? I mean, that doesn't sound very healthy.
No, not bottling up. It's about recognizing that our emotions can lead us astray. They can cloud our judgment, make us do things we regret.
So it's about mastering those emotions, not letting them master us.
Exactly. We have a choice, you see, in how we respond. We don't have to be slaves to our anger, our anxiety, our fears.
I like that. It's empowering. Okay, what else? What else is in this Stoicism starter pack?
Well, living in accordance with nature. This is a big one.
Okay, so what? Are we supposed to give up all our possessions and live in a hut in the woods? Become one with the squirrels?
Not necessarily, though I'm sure Seneca would have appreciated a nice peaceful forest.
Yeah, maybe with a wifey connection.
Right. But the idea is to recognize that we're part of a larger natural order. We can't control everything. Loss, change, even death, these things are inevitable.
So it's about accepting what we can't control and focusing on what we can.
Exactly. There's a certain freedom in that, a peace.
I can see that. Okay, next pillar of Stoicism. Hit me with it.
Contentment.
Now this is one I struggle with. I mean,
Okay.
in our world of comparison, consumerism, it's so easy to get caught up in wanting more, more, more.
Seneca would say, the happy person is content with what they have and doesn't chase after more.
Easier said than done.
It is. It is. But the idea is to appreciate what we already have. Find joy in the simple things. Cultivate inner peace, not external validation.
It's like put down your phone, log off social media, go for a walk, appreciate the beauty around you.
Exactly. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's a recipe for unhappiness.
All right, Seneca, I'm listening. This is good stuff. What else do you have to say?
Well, another big one is time. He saw it as our most valuable resource, something we should never waste.
And yet we do, don't we? We waste it all the time. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Where did day go?
He wrote a whole book about this, actually, on the shortness of life.
Catchy title. Okay, but how do we actually do it? How do we stop wasting time and start living more intentionally?
Mindfulness, I think, is key. Being present in the moment. Asking ourselves, is what I'm doing right now truly aligned with my values, my goals?
So it's about making conscious choices rather than just drifting through life on autopilot.
Right, and it's not about denying yourself pleasure or enjoyment. It's about prioritizing activities that contribute to your well-being, your sense of purpose.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's all about taking control, making deliberate choices.
Exactly. And that brings us to the cornerstone of Stoicism, the big one. Virtue.
Virtue. Isn't that a bit old-fashioned, like following a bunch of rules?
No, it's not about blind obedience. It's about living a life guided by principles like wisdom, justice, courage, temperance.
So it's about aligning our actions with our values, even when it's tough.
Yeah. And remember, Seneca wasn't just writing about this. He was trying to live it out in the messy, complicated world of Roman politics.
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk. All right, so we've got these core principles of Stoicism, but how did Seneca actually share these ideas with the world? What did he write?
Oh, lots of things. But one of his most famous works is his letters to Lucilius. Imagine getting personal letters filled with philosophical reflections on, well, everything. Death, happiness, overcoming challenges.
So like a Stoicism advice column.
Kind of, yeah. And these weren't just for some elite audience. They were written in a clear, relatable style, accessible to anyone.
So not just philosophy for philosophers, but practical wisdom for everyday life. What else did he write?
Well, we mentioned On the Shortness of Life, about time and how to use it wisely. He also wrote On Anger, about understanding and managing that powerful emotion. And in On the Happy Life, he lays out his vision of, well, a life truly worth living.
A life grounded in virtue, contentment, accepting what we can't control. Sounds like Seneca had a lot to say about how to live a good life. But we know his own life took a tragic turn, right? Nero's descent into tyranny, the loss of Seneca's influence.
Yeah, it's a dark chapter. Seneca sensed the danger, withdrew from public life.
But it wasn't enough, was it?
In 65 CE, he's accused of conspiring against Nero, ordered to take his own life.
Talk about a dramatic fall from grace.
But here's the thing. Even facing death, Seneca remained true to his Stoic principles. Composure, acceptance.
A powerful testament to his philosophy.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that Stoicism isn't just about ideas. It's about a way of being, something that can sustain us even in the most challenging circumstances.
About finding that inner strength, that resilience that allows us to face whatever life throws at us with grace and dignity. And even though Seneca's life ended tragically, his ideas have continued to inspire people for centuries.
Timeless wisdom, that's what he left behind. Guidance on how to navigate life's complexities, find inner peace, live a life of purpose and meaning.
And that's what we're going to explore further as we dig into some of Seneca's most powerful and thought-provoking quotes. You ready for some serious wisdom bombs?
Let's do it.
All right, so we dove deep into Seneca's life, the key ideas behind his Stoicism, and it's amazing how relevant it still is today. Ancient Rome to now, that's saying something.
Right? And that's just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface. His writings, that's where the real treasure trove is. Insights for navigating, well, everything life throws at us.
You know, it's hard not to think about his ending. forced suicide ordered by Nero, the guy he tried to advise. Does that mean his philosophy failed him?
Not at all. I mean, Stoicism isn't about avoiding hardship or getting a guaranteed happy ending. It's about facing whatever comes, good or bad, with courage and wisdom. And even in his final moments, Seneca shows us that.
Yeah, he faced death head on with composure, acceptance, like a true Stoic. It's a pretty powerful testament to the strength of his beliefs.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's important to remember, Seneca's story didn't end there. His ideas continued to spread, to influence thinkers and leaders for centuries. Think Marcus Aurelius, Michel de Montaigne, even Francis Bacon.
So his reach went far beyond ancient Rome. But what is it about Seneca's work that makes it so timeless? Why are we still talking about him today, centuries later?
Because he tapped into something universal. The human experience. We all face challenges, setbacks, moments of uncertainty. And Seneca's Stoicism, it provides a framework for navigating those difficulties.
A roadmap for life, sort of?
Yeah, exactly. It's not about pretending everything's perfect, but about finding strength and clarity in the middle of all the chaos. And he does this not with some lofty philosophical ideals, but with practical guidance.
Which is what makes it so relevant today. I mean, let's be honest, we live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention, right?
Yeah.
So much pressure, information overload.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to lose sight of what matters.
Exactly. So, what do you think? If Seneca were our advisor today, in 2024, what would he tell us? What wisdom would he offer to help us navigate this crazy modern world?
He'd probably start by reminding us about inner peace.
Yeah.
Don't get swept up in all the external noise and drama.
I can see him now saying, put down your phone, log off social media, go for a walk, reconnect with yourself, with nature.
Absolutely. He'd tell us to be mindful of how we spend our time. It's our most precious resource. You can't buy more of it.
And yet, it's so easy to waste, to spend hours scrolling, clicking, just letting it slip away. I do it all the time.
He'd probably say, don't do that.
Yeah, he'd probably have some strong words for that.
He'd encourage us to be more intentional. Ask ourselves, what are our goals? What brings us joy? How can we invest our time in things that align with our values, that give us a sense of purpose?
It's like he's saying, live with intention, make each day count.
Right. And, challenges, they're going to come. Life isn't always smooth sailing.
But instead of fearing those challenges, he'd say we should see them as opportunities.
Exactly. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. That kind of thing.
Hardships refine the soul, is one of his famous quotes. It's about finding that strength within us to face those tough times, to learn and grow from them.
And remembering that we always have a choice in how we respond to any situation. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control our reaction.
It's about finding that inner strength, that resilience, choosing to respond, not just react.
And that choice, it's what shapes our happiness, really.
So how do we put this into practice? It's one thing to talk about Seneca's wisdom, but how do we actually live it day to day?
Well, I think it starts with being self-aware, paying attention to our thoughts, emotions, reactions. What patterns hold us back? What are we getting stuck on?
Be honest with ourselves. Recognize those areas where we could use a little more Stoic wisdom.
Exactly. And the changes don't have to be huge, right? Start small. Practice mindfulness. Set aside time for reflection, journaling. Maybe just try responding to a difficult situation with more patience.
Little steps, consistent effort.
Right. It's a journey, not a destination. And you don't have to do it alone. Surround yourself with supportive people.
People who inspire us to be our best selves.
And don't be afraid to seek guidance. Seneca's writings are a great place to start, but there are tons of other resources out there to help you explore Stoicism.
And, of course, you can always come back to this deep dive. We've covered a lot: Seneca's life, his principles, how his ideas can help us today. But there's still more to come. We've got one more segment, and it's a big one. We're going to leave you with a final question, something to really ponder that builds on everything we've discussed today. So stick around.
Welcome back to our Seneca Deep Dive.
It's been a journey, right? His life, his philosophy, and how it can still be relevant to us today.
It's pretty amazing, really.
But we're not done yet. We've got one last thing we want to leave you with, something to think about. A question, really.
A question that builds on everything we've talked about.
So here it is. Imagine Seneca is your personal advisor, like he's sitting right here with us.
Right here, giving us advice.
What would he say to you based on your life, your challenges, your opportunities?
Take a minute. Really think about it. What are you struggling with? Stress, anxiety,
Maybe it's dealing with difficult people. We all have them, right?
or maybe it's about finding that sense of purpose. Life has meaning, direction.
I know for me, I get caught up in the comparison game sometimes. Social media, It's hard not to feel like you're not doing enough, not being enough.
Seneca would probably say, stop comparing yourself to others.
Yeah, easier said than done, right?
But true happiness, it doesn't come from what others think or from chasing those, well, fleeting pleasures. It comes from within.
It's about aligning your life with your values, finding that inner peace.
He might even tell you to, log off social media for a while, reconnect with what truly matters.
Spend time in nature.
Exactly.
And, what about that feeling of being overwhelmed? We're always rushing, trying to keep up, never really present.
Time. Seneca was all about that. He'd remind us how precious it is.
To use it wisely.
What are your priorities? What brings you joy? How can you make space for those things?
I can hear him saying, stop wasting your time on things that don't matter.
Put down your phone. Step away from the screen. Live each day like it's complete life. That kind of thing.
Right. Make conscious choices. Embrace the present moment.
And challenges. They're going to come. Disappointments, setbacks, it's all part of life.
But he'd tell us not to fear them, wouldn't he?
To see those challenges as opportunities to learn, to grow.
Hardships refine the soul.
He had a way with words, didn't he?
He did. So when you think about Seneca's advice for you, get creative. Imagine that conversation. What would he say? What challenges would he push you to embrace?
It's about taking that ancient wisdom, making it relevant to your life, right here, right now.
And it's a journey, this whole Stoicism thing.
An ongoing process, yeah.
Self-discovery, growth, transformation. It's about those small, consistent efforts, the ones that lead to lasting change.
And don't forget, you've got resources. Seneca's writings, of course. But there are other books, articles, podcasts, lots of ways to keep exploring Stoic philosophy.
So keep diving deep. That's what we're all about here. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Seneca.
We hope you found it insightful, maybe even inspiring.
And maybe, just maybe, it gave you a little something to think about. Until next time, keep exploring.
Seeking wisdom.
And most importantly, keep living a life that matters.